My laptop is muted.
All right, we should be live.
Hello.
Chilling.
What's this?
Not
Chilling?
something I
It
usually
is.
do on a Wednesday night.
No, definitely not.
So what are you drinking?
Me? Oh, you don't want to know.
How's it going, Andrew? Who do you think you are? Last I checked, he was a boiled jellyfish.
Last I checked, I was a boiled jellyfish. You had a rough day?
It'll, I don't know, just feels like a long day. Been a rough day. Oh yeah, you were pulling posts out of your yard all day. Is
What
that
did
when
I
you were
do?
taking down the fence?
Oh, yes, bye. I was fixing everything uh for like my yard. Like we had a random windstorm and just like destroyed uh, everything. It was like no wind warning, nothing. It's like my barbecue got trashed. One of my patio lights got trashed. Trampoline almost blew away. Like it was absolutely bonkers. So I just had to put that all back together. Am I giving it 110% today? Always, Andrew. Always. Just I drank 60% of my 110% here. So
Yeah, I believe that. Taking posts out of the ground, not fun at all.
no.
Hey, Colin. Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Hello.
They may have when they were new. I looked into these bookcases. So I used to have a completely different setup and ran out of room and went on Facebook Marketplace looking for someone who was just selling a cheap bookcase with like two shelves, um, or someone giving them away. And I saw these listed for $400. So my wife convinced me it was worth it. So went there to pick them up, and they're like, "Oh, you need to rent a moving truck to move these because they're 10 feet tall." Um, so they weren't going to fit even in my pickup truck. And they're like, "We'll knock $50 off the price since you need to rent a truck." Okay, so yeah, I got them for $350. And as Andrew says, the friends who helped me carry them up the stairs have not been back to my house since then.
And I noticed that you posted photos of them for Daniel Green's like bookshelf roast.
Yep, I figured
So we'll see
might
what he
as
says
well.
about that. Do you have any Funko Pops up there? If so, he'll probably give you some bad
Nope.
ratings. No, you're good then.
I I have one minion though, a stress minion that I got from work. Um,
Yeah.
because I had a stress ball at my old job. Like at this point, it was probably 5 years ago. Um, and then at one point, my manager picked it up, and he was not the most hygienic person ever. So I
Mm.
never picked the ball back up after that. And one of my coworkers, oh, it was when the Eagles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And I remember that because I was flying to Philly a lot at that time. And I ended up with an Eagles stress thing. And one day I was squeezing it and the head of the eagle popped off. So then after that, someone got me the minion. But no Funko Pops. And I
All right.
included pictures of my cats, so I should get points for that.
Yes, for sure.
How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, I saw you comment on some of them. I haven't gotten a chance to respond yet, but glad you're watching them. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
JCM Burn in the house. I finished Wistful
I
Ascending this month, by the way, and loved it. I
I
got books
got
2 and 3 on my shelf, waiting to be read.
I got one of my friends Wistful Ascending for Christmas, and she liked it enough that she bought the second book, and then I had Joe surprise her by sending her the third book signed, and
Ooh,
she was really excited about that. She lists it as her one of the top 2 or 3 series she's found because of my channel.
oh, okay. Awesome.
Joe, you're up there with some pretty good company.
Hmm.
I think she said Hybrid Helix and Lies of Loch Lamora were her 2 favorite books or series from my channel. Let's see. Hey, where do you see Funko Pops? Oh, Andrew's Funko Pops. Yeah, that would cause you to cause him to lower your grade. But I do remember seeing your shelves on there. I think he made the comment that they look like booktuber shelves, and then
Something
went and
like that, yeah.
subscribed.
Yeah, that video was out for a while. I think I remember seeing it as well. And
Do
what
you have
are
any
the two
Funko Pops on
Funkos,
your
Andrew?
shelves? Yeah,
Who, me?
yeah, that's
None. I got mostly it's just like sister stuff between my wife and her sister, and a piece of art that she made for me when we were first seeing each other. That's really it. That's not books.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a lot that's not books on my shelves. Just pictures, and I don't. At the very end, some pictures. So you usually
Yeah.
can't even see those in any of my videos.
You can see part of my shelf in my intro video,
Let's see. Doctor
Chris.
Who, Fourth Doctor.
And I'm repping my Doctor Who Gravity Falls t-shirt.
Oh, nice. I have my Bridge 4 shirt on. Let's see, Jordan, have we seen your shelves yet? You answer that. Yeah.
It is a sexy shirt. I mean, it
I
has
mean,
Dipper and Mabel in front of the TARDIS with Bad Wolf written on it.
I think it's the guy who makes the shirt sexy.
Possibly.
Yeah. So what's everyone reading right now?
Well, me and you were twinsies with
War Master's Gate.
War Master's Gate. I'm almost 200 pages in, so slowly getting there.
Yeah,
I
I think I'm on
mean,
chapter 13 now.
yeah, that's I'm on 14 now. Um, I mean, it's just been hard to read right now because Zelda basically consumed all my free time. It's so good. Tears of the Kingdom is just it's exactly what I needed after playing like getting like the new Fire Emblem game and like just not happy with it and getting my favorite game of all time, Tales Symphonia, and the remaster is actual absolute trash. Like the frame rate is like 2.
you know, so my wife and I have started fostering and just providing respite care for kids. So we're not taking anyone full time. Basically, just the worst paid babysitters in history
Yeah. Yeah.
is what we're doing. And we had a 10-year old here this past weekend, and he was asking me. Um, we played Mario Kart at one point, and he was talking trash beforehand. So naturally, I had to beat him every time. And after that, he was asking me what games I play, and I'm like, honestly, I haven't really played any video games in years. Um, he's like, I don't believe that. Someone that good at Mario Kart, you must play all the time. And he's like, and he said something about, I think, I don't know if it was PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. And I'm like, I have a PlayStation 3. He's like, well, what games do you have? I'm like, I don't even know where the games are at anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, I got good at Mario Kart because it was big in the 90s on Nintendo 64.
Yeah. Oh, I'm like a diehard Nintendo fanboy, so I generally play all those. Like I used to play a bit of like competitive Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS,
Hmm,
and I was the best Shy Guy. Well, what I
nice.
think second best Shy Guy in Canada. Represent. Um, yeah.
I have a problem that I will get very addicted to any games I play. Um, in college, there was an online game. It's called Travian, and I ended up at one point ranked with the third highest rated attack of everyone in the US. And some of the
Oh my
people
gosh.
that were on my team,
Hmm.
one of them, he was getting his master's in biochemical engineering, and he had to quit the game because he was failing all of his classes
Because
and
it was so
actually had to
addicting.
go to the school and say that it was because of this game that's why he was failing, and he had to go to counseling or something like that
Oh my
um,
gosh.
because of this game addiction. And it's like, yeah, we may be playing this a bit too much.
Yeah.
um,
Dare
so
say.
yeah, not a lot of video games for me since then.
Hmm.
And we never had them in my house growing up. I had to go to my grandma's house, and my
Yeah.
cousin who lived with her, he had all the gaming systems.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I would be able to play one game for like 2 hours one weekend, and then a month later I could start back up that same game. Um, so yeah, just never became a thing for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We got Curse of the Fallen, Prince of
That has
Bloods.
absolutely beautiful cover art. That's the one with the big, beautiful blue tree, right? The self-pub book, if I recall.
Hmm, I'm not sure. I'll wait for Andrew to answer that one.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And Prince of Dogs. Oh my gosh. I can't read that book because of how bad the cover art is.
I don't
I'm
think I've
judging a
seen
book
that
by its
cover art
cover.
either. Rereading Battlegrounds. That's a good time and sad time at the same time.
Oh yeah. Battleground was awesome. I'm really excited for the next installment, which should be hopefully around the same time as Stormlight Archive 5.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he said it would take him about like what, 30 weeks to write
Like
it or
10
something like
weeks or
that?
something to write. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it being like 10 weeks is what he was saying. But then you have all of the publishing and
Yeah.
editing that goes into it. So 2024.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's exciting. So we got Stormlight, Dresden, um, I know you don't like the Burning series, and Andrew doesn't like the Burning series, but uh, book 3 for that's supposed to be coming out in 2024.
Yeah.
But at one point, it was supposed to be coming out in 2023 as well. So who knows?
Hmm.
Um, a couple other books I was really excited for 2024.
Maybe Outland Empire by Nicholas Eames will be out in 2024. There's hope, right?
There's always hope. And I'm from Chicago, and there's a saying in Chicago: "There's always next year." Um, so if you lose hope, there's always next year.
Yeah. I mean, he started writing it 2 years ago, so he's got to be there somewhere.
Right. Let's see. 85K and should be 60K. That's that's a big jump.
Is it like a lot of
Yeah,
info
kind of more.
dumping or just like long-winded over detailing on that book there, Mike?
We'll wait for him to respond. Empire of Silence, followed by Wistful Ascending. And not just saying that because JCM's here. Empire of Silence. I haven't gotten to that yet. Have you?
Well, I plan on doing it in later on this year. I think Bookish Chaz mentioned that he was planning on doing it in late 2023, and I was just like, I messaged him saying like, oh, I was thinking about doing it around the same time. Did you want to like buddy read it together? And he said sure. So
Okay.
that's what we're going with. And I found it like on Audible Canada. I don't know if it's for Audible US or UK or anything, but Empire Silence and Howling Dark are both for free. With I believe it's called The Lesser Devil. It's like a little novella in between those two books.
Okay. I feel
Yeah,
like
and it's
in
definitely something I'm interested in because like it sounds like a lot like space opera, but with like a lot of fantasy elements.
right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my younger brother has read it and lists it as his favorite series that he's read. Which he's going to school for his PhD and started a book club there. And I guess based on me talking about Dresden so much, they decided on Dresden as their previous month's book and then just wanted to continue the series. Okay,
Oh,
well,
okay.
that's to warn everyone. Book 2 is commonly considered the worst book, so
Yeah.
don't have too high expectations there.
The only good thing
That was
about Full
exciting to
Moon
me.
is the new additions that you get to Dresden's Friend Group.
Yeah,
That's basically it.
yeah. When I reread it, it wasn't as bad as I remembered, which I think I didn't like it the first time I read it because you had so many different types of werewolves. It was really confusing which werewolf was which and which ones were good, which ones were bad, and
Yeah, and
um,
there was like many different types of werewolves too, if I recall.
yeah, yes, there were 3 different types, and then someone who wasn't quite fitting into any of those 3. Um, there's the alphas who are the shapeshifters that can basically cast one spell that makes them a wolf. You had the FBI agents who could wear the belt and that turned them into a wolf, and then you had the person who was cursed, the more traditional werewolf that couldn't control it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and reread, it wasn't as bad because I already knew who the alphas were, so everything made a lot more sense to me. Got really angry when I saw Butters, or not Butters, Rudolph. Sorry,
Yeah.
um, that upset me because it was right after I read Battleground and immediately start my reread, and I think that's the first mention of Rudolph and Dresden and Murphy saving his life.
Was the
Um,
first mention of Butters and Deadbeat?
no, it was before
The one
Deadbeat.
before. Oh, okay.
I'm not sure exactly when, but I know it was before Deadbeat.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, okay.
because I
Couldn't
remember
really remember.
hearing or seeing an interview with Jim Butcher, and he said for book 7, he wanted Dresden to have a liability, someone he had to like carry along with him through the book.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I already had this character Butters in the series, so why introduce someone new? Just reuse someone I have."
Yeah.
So,
And he's definitely one of the fan favorites for sure.
yes. A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. I have not heard of that. So no
I
judgment for me.
I heard of it, but I know absolutely nothing about it.
I think I'm going to make it a new rule of mine to not pick up any books that say a Wizard's Guide or a Wizard's Handbook or a Wizard's instruction manual of any kind. Let's see. No, she tells you the same thing several times. That can
One of
get annoying.
those.
Let's see. Jellyfish, yeah. Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. Yeah, I'm from Newfoundland. I have not read any authors from my province. I think it's mostly because it's just very much like a traditional type of province, and majority of the books are about like the cod fishery or like a couple of the premiers we've had, and possibly a couple of mining books. Like, is nothing that exciting. May The only book I have that's from Newfoundland is Edible Plants of Newfoundland Labrador. So I didn't read the whole thing, but it was my guide when I go camping or hiking. I always bring that with me.
I don't know if Andrew's still here, but I'm curious if Drew Hayes is from Colorado because I feel like every series he mentions Colorado in it at some point. And then one of them, the main character moves from Colorado to Illinois, and I moved from Illinois to Colorado. So it's like, all
Oh
right,
my gosh. Maybe he's following you.
maybe, or running away from me. Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Steel Inquisitor Alex Sedai. What up?
Yeah. Uh, Drew Hayes is from Texas. Huh. Well, he seems to like Colorado in his books. The Fred the Vampire Account series takes place in Colorado. Um, Superpowers, uh, one of the, it's actually the side novel. The main character in that, he retired to Colorado from being a superhero, and then he's the one who moved from Colorado to Illinois when he wanted to get back in the game.
Oh, is that Corpies?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Corpies, a bunch of people with super abilities that aren't superheroes, but they're sponsored by corporations to do cleanup jobs and stuff like that after there's a big fight
Hmm.
or if a building's on fire or something. Basically, they don't have enough power to be a superhero, but they're still powerful enough to help out. Um, but yeah, superheroes don't really like them because they dress up like superheroes, except they're corporate billboards, basically.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
they the superheroes kind of view them as wannabes. They
Yeah.
get a lot of disrespect,
Do
even
they
though they're
have
still
like
doing good
company names?
jobs. Yeah, they they have actual corporate sponsors that they have to display the name on
Oh, okay.
whatever they're wearing, and they have to take pictures and just
I just
be
picture like
ad.
Colgate coming in and punching the crap out of someone, and it's just like
Yep.
brush your teeth and flies away.
A Wizard's Guide to Boiling Jellyfish.
Could be a wizard's guide. Could be a druid's guide.
Ooh,
Could be a Jordan's guide. I don't know.
just got home from work. Well, thanks for dropping in.
Oh, definitely.
We kind of
Do you
decided to
do
do
like
this.
12-hour shifts at the hospital, Alex?
I'm always surprised with how much reading you can get done with how much you have to work at a hospital.
Yeah, actually, most of my reading time is on my breaks,
Mhm.
if I get them.
Right.
Because once I'm home, it's just like chores and child rearing and more chores and housework. But
Yeah.
generally, like if I'm off work, I might have like an hour, possibly, or less a night to read. At work, I should have about an hour and a half or more in
Okay.
breaks to read. Yeah.
I used to get a lot of audiobook time in with my commute to work when I lived in the Chicagoland area because my commute took
Yeah.
anywhere between 30 minutes and 2 hours one way. So that was my big source of audiobooking. And then I came to Colorado and my commute was 7 minutes. And then COVID shut everything down right after that. So I wasn't commuting anymore. Um, so that was actually a transition for me to figure out one, to have enough restraint to not log into work until a certain time and to actually log out afterwards. It's not a, hey, just because I can log in, I should log in. Um,
Yeah,
but
for
yeah,
like audiobooking for me, like I live about an hour away from the hospital. So, and me and my wife were on opposite rotations. I was on second rotation, she's on first rotations, like they swap back and forth. And until I got joined in on her rotation. But so I did a lot of audiobooking that way, but now we're on the same rotation. We commute together, so I don't really listen to my audiobooks that way unless like she has vacation or days owed and then I'll go in for my shifts and then I'll listen that way. I do most of my audiobooking when I'm doing dishes or housework outside of the house. Yeah.
yeah, same. Like in the morning when I'm feeding the dogs and just, again, same thing, chores, getting the house ready. 'Cause I'm usually up a couple hours before my wife is, so that's my audiobook time. And same thing if she's in the car with me, no books.
Yep.
Or we've tried doing audiobooks together, um, but we never end up finishing those.
Oh, okay.
So we'll start them, we'll get an hour in, and then we'll never go back to it.
Mm.
It's part
I
of
guess
it
probably
is,
just
well, I've been listening to audiobooks for years, and obviously I listen to a ton of them. So I'm used to listening at like 1.75 speed.
yeah.
She's not. So she
No.
wants to listen at like usually like 1.25 speed. But that starts to put me to sleep when I'm driving, which
Yeah.
isn't ideal. So,
Yeah, no, I think I might try like getting my wife into trying like I don't know, probably like something like The Martian or Red Rising or something like that. Something like just a little taste and nothing too like epic fantasy because it's not like really
Yeah,
her forte. I mean, she reads a couple of books here and there, but they're mostly like thrillers, something like that.
right. Yeah, my wife prefers more of YA, so there hasn't been a lot of crossover. I did get her to read Legends and Lattes though, and she did like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, let's see, and A Natural History of Dragons. She read. She liked it up until the very end. Then she didn't like one of the choices the author made. 0.9. I could not do that. Hello.
Nope,
Maybe
me either.
some of the self-published audiobooks I listen to much slower than a traditional published one just because they read a lot faster. Like you Kramer is going to read at a snail's pace every time. But someone who hasn't done audiobooks before, um, they tend to read at a bit faster pace. So like I think Legend of Black Jack, I slowed down to probably 1.5.
The audiobook I'm listening to right now is Mother of Learning Arc 2. I think the narrator's name is Jack Voorhees. Anyways, like he does a really good pace for the main character, but every other character that's he does is way too fast. So I
Hmm.
could do the main character at like two times speed, easy, no problem. But every other character, I can't hear what he says, so I have to bring it down to like 1.7. So the main character sounds low, but the other characters sound good. It's a bit
And
awkward. And I feel like I'll have that issue with like if I go back to Wheel of Time and do it via audio, I hear like Michael, he's pretty slow, but I hear oh my God, what's her name? Do you remember her name? Michael and Kate Redding?
Kate Redding. Kate Redding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's pretty fast, isn't she? From what I've heard.
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
So
Oh, okay.
in the Wizard's Handbook, Kramer does all of the narrating except when there's doing like excerpts from the handbook. Um, then Kate does that, and then since it's in legalese language, she speed reads through it.
Oh,
So
okay.
you go from Kramer's slow drawl, which was not good for a comedic book to begin with, to reading as fast as she can.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
okay.
bothering me.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
Last night, currently reading Deathgate Cycle. Yeah, we tried. Um, we were at a point where we were driving up to Denver, which is an hour from where we live, um, twice a week. Yeah, two or three times a week, and we were actually trying to do Lord of the Rings. It's like start with a book that we both know we like, and it was the Andy Serkis narration. So I'm like, this should be pretty good, but with how slow it was, and with how slow Fellowship of the Ring starts off with in general, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Let's just go back to music.
Yeah.
Um, yep, I've actually thought that exact thing, Mike. But they get paid based on the hour, so not a lot of
Well, it makes
incentive to
sense.
read fast.
Yeah.
Um, Legend of Blackjack, he did read pretty quickly, so that was one I had to slow down. I think I also struggle with that one in the car because the volume's not consistent throughout.
I found
I
like
have
with if from my recollection with Legend of Blackjack, I found the first couple chapters was like relatively quiet. But then
yeah,
I guess he like kind of switched to a different room in the car dealership or something that he was recording in, and the audio quality got better, or maybe he brought like a couple phone pads or something like that, and it definitely improved. Or but like
yeah,
Air with him did an excellent job narrating his own book.
yeah,
I gotta commend him for that.
yeah, yeah. I absolutely agree.
Yeah,
Which I was
and
telling
with the
him after I read the book, I'm like, if you never write another book, you should at least get into narrating books.
yeah, for
You,
sure. He's got the right energy for it. And with the Cradle books, Alex, I find Travis Baldree is a narrator that's a little too fast for my liking. I have to slow it down to 1.5, 1.6, and my average is around 1.75.
uh, you know, Air with him would have been a good narrator for the Wizard's Handbook.
Oh, okay.
He would
See,
have
I
done a
have
much better job at than Kramer.
I'm not reading it right now because I'm only focused on Sanderson's Cosmere because I got such a vast TBR. I just want to focus on this Cosmere with what he
Right.
puts out. So, yeah.
Hey, Robert, how's it going? And that is a very good reason to be late.
On baby duty? Yeah.
Yeah.
Always on baby duty.
All right. Hi, Joe. Thanks for stopping by.
Yes, thanks for stopping by.
What's another? Try to think of another narrator that I've had to slow down. Um, Shadows of the App. Um, I think it's Ben Allen, who actually does a fantastic job, but there's so many characters that eventually every narrator is going to run out of different voices to use. Um, and I think that I just had to slow down because it was just too hard to keep track of
When
what
I'm
was going on.
reading, when I was reading Shadows of the App with you, I was like, oh my God, how is Patrick doing this as an audiobook? Like, I feel like he would just forget everyone. It's like bad enough for me, and I'm like going back and forth to the glossary like all the time.
I just looked and I'm like, there's a glossary this whole time.
Yes. It's
Like
a
I should
big
have
glossary too. It's
referenced
like
those. Yeah,
it's a
5
big
pages of
glossary.
names,
Yeah.
and then another 2 pages of cities, and it's
Well,
like,
one nice thing I noticed um with Shadows of the Apt is like you could tell what type of Kindin they are from their name. Because of like a lot of like Fly Kindin has like a ZO at the end or a le or te something.
huh? I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
notice
something I
that.
noticed
I
like
didn't
as I was
see that.
reading. They like each Kindin has their own like unique like phonics system, I guess, for naming.
Right, that makes sense.
And like a lot of like the wasps are like a T or an S name.
Alric, Seda.
Seda.
I can't think of any other wasp names besides those two.
Yeah. Me too. But they
Uh,
have like a very like TH or
yeah,
SE, something like that.
yeah.
It's like they all have like a very unique phonic associated with each Kindin, I noticed.
You've read Dungeon Crawler, Carl, right?
Me? No, not yet.
No, no, no.
No, it's I did my first lit RPG last month with oh my gosh, what's it called? Sir Krabby the First, Deepwater Dungeon.
I
Um
think that's what I was thinking of.
yeah, I really enjoyed the like crab part, but like everyone else other than the crab, I didn't care for. That was my first like real taste into the RPG. I mean, like Cradle is progression fantasy, so um, in the same ballpark. But yeah, I definitely want to listen to Dungeon Crawl. Oh my God, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've heard nothing but phenomenal work about the narrator. I even seen like a video that the narrator did, like doing a phone call for someone. It was absolutely awesome.
The Burning Series. Yes, I did do the audio, and I loved it. I thought having him do the narration just helped bring you into the African inspired world. That the It really brought the culture of the book out. Um, and I was actually training for a marathon when I read or listened to both of the books. So the training scenes really helped helped me in that sense because I was just running while listening to him training. So that worked out well. Loved Underground, but it has to be audio. Keep that in mind. He
Needs more crab? Yes.
needs more crab.
Needs like 200% more crab for
Have you
sure.
done the Project Hail Mary audio? So this
Yeah,
one
that's the
actually
only way.
upsets me. So the year that book came out, I had, I think, read 110, 115 books, and all of them were audio except five. And Project Hail Mary was one of the five that was not audio.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because I think, I mean, I was really excited for it, so I wanted to get to it as
Mm.
fast as possible. But I also didn't really like Artemis, so I didn't want to buy the book. I wanted to get it from my library, and the audiobook hold was 6 months or longer, and that was the day it became available. Ebook was like 1 week hold or something like that. So like, all right,
Yeah.
guess I'll go the ebook route. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so like for Project Hail Mary, like I love The Martian. It's like it was one of my favorite books at the time.
yeah
And I enjoyed Artemis if you just take out Jazz. Like if you just take out the main character, throw out
yeah.
the the space locker or whatever it's called. Um, the book would be fantastic. I think Andy Weir really needs to work on his female protagonists, like working on those.
Yes,
It's very cringy, but
he tried putting Mark Watney in a female body.
yeah, and but anyways, with Project Hail Mary, I remember Patrick Leo was just like, "Oh, it's all right." Like I think he gave it like 3 or 4 stars out of 5, but he like seemed really like disappointed by it. I was like, "Oh crap." If he didn't like it, I'll probably not enjoy it as much because this is like after Artemis, right? But then I
Right.
listened to the audio and it was like an absolutely wonderful experience. I'm so glad I listened to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a reread at some point and make it an audiobook.
Oh,
Um,
it's definitely going to be a book I'm rereading for sure.
I think pretty sure I gave it 4 stars. 'Cause I think the main character bugged me a bit. Like there's when he was in the spaceship, no problems with him. But the flashbacks to Earth, there were so many times where he would make a dumb joke in a serious moment, and it's like, yeah, that just doesn't seem realistic at all. Um, and it just bothered me how often that happened.
Yeah, that's like Andy Weir's like forte there.
Yeah,
It's just like
which I
inappropriate humor.
which I liked it more in The Martian because
Yeah,
it's
because
not
he was
like,
already in the situation. He was just like, well, shit,
yeah,
stuck on Mars.
well, crap. this is what's happening, and I only have myself to entertain. Um, and like there is really nothing at stake per se. Obviously, he's trying to survive, but his odds of surviving were next to nothing um, for most of it. And worst case scenario, one person dies.
Yeah.
Whereas Project Hail Mary, worst case scenario is everyone on the planet dies.
Yep.
Not exactly the same scope there, and you're in the room of people that are trying to figure out how to save the world, and you're gonna be making dumb jokes every time they ask you a question. It it just bothered me a little bit, but I could see
Yeah.
myself liking a lot more on audiobook.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's definitely a more catered towards the audiobook experience, especially with
The
the new
communication.
yeah, the communication that you get later on
Yeah.
in the book. Yep, for sure.
The Martian movie was actually very true to the book.
It was. I
There
think
was
I missed like two or three things. And like um one awesome thing I like about The Martian was Andy Weir did his research.
Yep,
So I don't know if you've seen like there's a YouTube channel called like Game Theory and Film Theory and all that. So he did a film theory episode on The Martian on the science behind growing potatoes on Mars and if he could live that long, and it's all true. Like he could actually live that long on surviving off potatoes. He can grow potatoes on Mars. Like
yep,
the science is solid.
yes. And I think
So
he
it's a very
had,
believe.
besides the research he did, I think he has contacts in NASA as well
He does,
that
yeah, he does.
that like double checked everything he was doing and everything he was
Yeah.
saying. Um, let's see. So yeah, if you like the Martian movie, I would definitely recommend the book. Um, I like the audiobook, but I liked it before Will Wheaton did the recording of it.
Oh, I did the
There
Will
was a
Wheaton recording, and I actually enjoyed it.
there is another narrator. I can't remember his name. I'd have to look on my uh, audio Audible account to find it. But I thought he did a fantastic job. And then when I tried to listen to again with the Will Wheaton narration, because I was excited to get that narration because I had just listened to Ready Player One, and it didn't fit at all to me. But I'm comparing it to something else. If I had never heard the first narration, I'm sure I would have enjoyed Whedon's narration of it too. Let's see.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, like I did Ready Player One, and then as a reread with Will Wheaton, and then I was like, oh, I really enjoyed him doing that, so I did The Martian as a reread, and that was like basically like my first like touch into audiobooks, and that was like 2017, 2018, something like that.
Yeah. I see. It was my old job. I used to work directly for the electric company in the Chicago area, and they had something that was called storm duty that everyone had to do. Now, most of the time when you think of storm duty, you think of the technicians that are actually going outside and restoring power. My role was actually in most of the office people that had storm duty roles were office jobs, and mine was to dispatch um, wire watchers. Not that any of this matters, but it was 12-hour shifts, and
Yeah,
like I'd have 15 people I have to dispatch, and they would go to because there was the level of tech. There was the people that could actually restore the power. There was people that could cut the power to make it safe, and then there was people that just stood there and made sure no one went by the power line. So the more remote the area was, and the um, least dangerous it was, those were the people that got wire watchers. So those are going to be the last
Oh,
places
okay.
that get fixed. So you send
Yeah.
someone there and they stay by that wire for their whole shift and till someone either comes and restores the power or someone replaces. So there's times that person's at that one wire for 16 hours. So I would dispatch my team and then I'd have no one else left to dispatch, so there was nothing to do. But we had
Yeah.
to sit there for 12 hours. And I
Until it's
was
done.
talking to, right, I was talking to uh, the manager or whatever organization, um, my storm duty role's supervisor, and he was telling me how he started to do audiobooks because he was just tired of listening to the radio, and he's like, honestly, just get a library card and you'll be able to get audiobooks through your library for free. Like, just give it a shot. And that was how I started listening to audiobooks because my uncle worked for my local library at that time. And I'm like, hey, so someone at work told me I can get a library card and listen to audiobooks for free. How do I do that? And that was when he told me about Overdrive. And when I went from about 3 books a year to 50 books a year.
Yeah.
And then I found
Big
BookTube,
difference.
and that went from 50 books a year to about 115 books a year.
Yeah.
Mike, I do have a audiobook for Becoming a Druid. So we're reading that in July, right?
We are, yep.
That's our
That's
plan.
that's the game plan. I'll be doing it physical, I believe.
You do own all of them, all the books, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in your book haul
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, I got the hardcovers, but I don't like reading signed books or hardcover books, so I'll just get the Kindle version and read it that way.
Ah, that
Because
makes sense.
where I bring it with me to work, I just don't want a hardcover book to be beat up or anything like that.
Right. That's where mass market paperbacks come in handy.
You know, they've been through the ringer.
Yeah.
They've had all kinds of fluids on them.
uh, that always reminds me of a YouTube video I saw of it's paramedics doing ripping off of another song. I can't think of what it's called, but it was "What's That on My Thin Blue Gloves" was the name of the song.
Oh, it's always poop.
Yeah,
Every time it's poop. Think it's
I
butt?
think
Nope,
that's
it's
kind of
poop.
how how the
Think it's
line
mucus?
goes or something.
No, it's poop.
Yep, it's poop. Yep.
It's always poop, no matter what.
Yes. Yeah. Um, so, Christopher, from my experience, there are people that really love The Martian, and there are a few people that really love Artemis. And the one thing they all agree on is Project Hail Mary is either their favorite or a close second favorite of the three.
Yeah, it's definitely like the most consistent of all of Andy Weir's books in terms of enjoyment.
So personally, I put The Martian as one of my probably my favorite sci-fi novel of all time. Um,
Yeah.
but
I
still
I
enjoyed Project Hail Mary.
I remember Andrew, I think Andrew was saying like he was in a slump. I was like, Andrew, just go to Project Hail Mary. It's a slump slayer. And then if I recall, like he listened to it while his second kid was being born. So, and he loved it.
Yep, I used Legend of Black Jack the last time I was in a slump. I think it
Yeah,
was actually last July. Um, so I was trying to read all self-published books, but I was also in a slump,
yeah,
which isn't the ideal time to be trying to promote books. So I asked Andrew, I'm like, what's a self-published book that's going to get me out of the slump? And he's like, Project Hail Mary. I loved it. And then I'm like, okay, what's the next one? Dragon Mage. Loved it. What's the next one? Just keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ended up picking basically my whole TBR for last July, or what I actually ended up reading last July. I may not have stuck to that TBR very well.
Yeah, so I think for our July we're going to be focusing on self-pub books because that was like, what's it called? The Indie
India
Accords?
Accords readathon, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's happening again this year, but I think we should just kind of keep that tradition,
Yep,
have July as just self-pub.
yep.
Because I've been behind on my self-pub mostly because like Shadows of the Apps has been consuming it and um like I've just been doing a lot of audiobooks, but most of the audiobooks I got aren't self-pub. So it's definitely a good month to just focus on that, catch up on it.
And Mike, you're right. I think it was R.C. Bray was the name, which I wanted to say that, but I'm like, if it's wrong, I don't want to say it. So yeah,
Oh,
that was the
okay.
narrator of The Martian.
Yeah, no, I've never listened to that narrator, but I'll keep my eye out for that name.
Let's see. So Christopher is also reading Becoming a Druid in July.
Yes, I think I don't know if I invited him to join us or not. Can't remember. I think I invited
I
someone
feel
to
like you
join us.
did. And then Marilyn asked if she could join. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's
we're
what it
not going
was.
to stop people from reading a book.
No,
Yeah. Always have to have more people reading the same book as us.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, my self pub numbers are probably inflated this year just because I binged all of Drew Hayes.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, yes.
and
Um,
I and part of me is like, well, he is self published.
yeah,
So but another part of me is he's an established self published author that already had a following before he actually published his first book.
yeah.
So
He's very well
it's like, does
established.
it count? Yeah.
Um,
But I'm also surprised with the type of books he writes that he's not more popular on BookTube. But I'm doing everything I can to change that.
yeah. Well, I mean, I bought the whole Superpowered series for audio, so I'll get to that sometime in the future. Um, but yeah, if I was like trying to recall like my for last year, I think I did 63% of my books were self-pub because that was like my goal. It was just like 60% of my books will be self-pub because I think I was like going to do Wheel of Time, like one book a month for Wheel of Time and do majority of the series, and then I dropped that. So I said, screw it, I'll just focus on self-pub. So that's what I ended up
Right.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I had all of the Drew Hayes books, so I think that's 16 self-published books that I read this year. Because 3 of them I read last year. And then Amaneska, so that's another going to be another 4. And I've thrown random ones in throughout the year.
Yeah,
And Mike, um, I guess my thought would be, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much.
it don't bother
Yeah,
me.
it doesn't bother me at all if you're in the comments. Like Ben has been able to see every comment we leave if he wanted to with the Emaneska readathon. But
Yeah,
if you wanted to be on the safe side, I would say you could. If we had a direct question, we'd end up pinging you.
yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't care. Um,
And we'll create a
if
dedicated channel for that, I'd say.
Yep, we're doing enough buddy reads now. We might even create a dedicated Discord for our buddy reads. But we'll see if we do that or not.
Yeah.
Let's see. That Malazan. The rest of my reads for July will be Southpaw. Yeah, Malazan. The series I am forever pushing back on my TBR.
Yeah, Malazan is definitely like, I think what I want to do is I want to have each year, I just probably want to dedicate myself to one big series. So this year, it's finished Shadows of the App. I might pick up Wheel Time again as audio. That's the game plan. And after that, I think I might go Malazan.
That was so. My original plan was I read Wheel of Time in 2020, and then
Yeah.
2021 was basically all of the Cosmere, and then 2022 was gonna be Malazan or Malazan. I've heard it both ways. I
Mm.
have no idea which way is the right way of saying it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's Malazan, but
Malazan.
yeah, Malazan
Um,
just sounds better to me
yeah,
personally.
but then last year I didn't really. None of the series that were supposed to be like my primary series for last year, I didn't read any of them. Um, Shadows of the Act, I only got through three of the books last year. Um, Now, part of that was I was waiting for you to catch up at the end, but it had already been a few months without me reading one of the books before you even started.
Yeah.
Um, Realm of the Elderling, I only read three books last year. That's the Live Ship Traders. Um, the Saxon series was another one I planned on reading last year, and I didn't even read a single book from it until I think after Christmas. Then I read the first book. So last week of the year, I squeezed the first book in. Um, I did read all of Legends of the First Empire, Alex Varys, um, but those weren't series I was planning for 2022. And then 2023 for me ended up being the year of Drew Hayes. So I'm using that as my big series for this year.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more, Mike. Everyone needs more of Fred the Vampire account in their life. Uh, I just keep not reading. And that was actually what was happening to me with Shadows of the Apt. It's like I really enjoyed the first book, but then it took me 3 months before I picked up the second book, which I liked the second book, but then it took me a couple months before I got to the third book. And I think with it, it was so much work getting through the beginning of each of those books that I was just never motivated to pick them back up.
There's definitely
And
been
then the
some pros
longer,
and cons of that whole
yes,
series. And my
and then
biggest con is the beginning of each book.
yeah, and the
It's always been
longer I
slow.
went in between books, the harder it was to pick up that next book because the more of it I forgot. Which thankfully, at least the audiobooks do a recap of what's been happening, but it does the recap of all the main characters, and then it goes to the point of view of someone that used to be a side character, like a really minor character that's now going to be a main character. And you're like, who the heck is this? And what country is he in? And who is he trying to spy on? And who is he betraying? Because, everyone has those roles.
Mm.
Pretty much everyone in Shadows of the Apt is spying on someone, betraying someone else, and traveling from one city to another.
Yeah.
Let's see. Only reason I'm finding, yeah, there's been a lot of buddy reads I've considered joining. Like I know Mike was doing one on his channel, Andrew and Nico are supposed to be doing it on the Wizardly Duo Discord, but I feel like that's completely dropped off. Um, and my thought is it's one of those you have to be mentally prepared to do. That
Yeah,
trying
for
to
sure.
force it with a buddy read if you're not feeling it isn't going to work, and trying to read it faster than you're ready to read it isn't going to work.
I think you kind of
I
like need lots of like notice to just
Yeah,
kind of shift around your TBR because Malazan is such a vast series and each
yeah,
book is like it's thick, right?
yeah,
That's what deterred me from joining all the other buddy reads because they were like, "Oh, hey, next month we're doing Malazan." I was like, "What?" I would like to join, but like I'd
I
have to
already
drop
have 10
everything.
books and I don't want to drop 7 of them for this one
Yeah,
book.
that's why
Yeah,
like when we did the Emaneska one, I wanted to announce it multiple months in advance. I mean,
yes,
it's 4 book series, and all 4 books are less than 500 pages. I think the biggest
right.
one is Pale Kings at 550, um, give or take. Um, but yeah, I wanted to give people lots of notice because I know everyone's TBR is chock full.
Yeah. And then trying to get something on someone's TBR for more than 4 months. Like, you want me to commit 1 month or one book a month for almost the entire year? It's like that's a big ask. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I do feel like buddy reading it does help as far as having someone to ask questions to, um, and just being able to talk about it as you go to help understand. But I just I can't do it if I'm not in the right mindset to begin with. So I have a feeling I'm going to end up reading it alone. But fortunately, there are plenty of people who have read it and loved it, and I'm sure they'll be happy to talk about it some more. Buddy read is what I'm getting to it. Let's see. Planning in March to start in July. Yeah, that's a pretty good notice. At
yeah,
3 to 4
for sure.
months notice. How's it going, Theo?
Oh my God, it's Theo.
You reading anything good right now?
I still haven't gotten around to Legend, Theo. I kind of had to put it on the back burner because I forgot I was doing another buddy read with Andrew. But
Mm,
I ended up DNFing the book. But that was Shackled Fates.
okay. Yeah, Legend by David Gemmell.
Yeah, that was on my MBR because I posted it in the video, and I remember Theo posted his um, his Legend video, and I was like, oh my God, I really need to get on it. And then Andrew was like, oh hey, I'm buddy reading with Jordan with Shackled Fates. I was like, are we?
Oh,
Oh my God. So I had to drop that. And I picked up Shackled Fates and I DNF'd it. I was like, no, like it's not for me at this time.
I need to read Legend still too.
Yeah. It's
I
short. It's like
always
only
prioritize.
350 pages.
That's what surprised me. I think you actually
Yeah.
showed it in one of your videos. And I'm like, I was expecting it to be like the length of a Wheel of Time book. Um, I was not expecting that small of a book. Um, Never trust Andrew. That is good life advice.
I have that tattooed right on my arse.
Let's see. Legend is great. Yeah, let's read it. That seems like a pretty cool professor.
For sure. I remember I
I
had a
can't
prof
say.
for English in university because I had to do my like standard arts credits for my science degree. And
Yeah.
we read a lot of Sherlock Holmes, like a lot of it. And that was awesome.
Let's see. The only books I can remember reading in college was A Long Way Gone, Memoirs of a Boy Soldier, which that one has stuck with me because I read it when I was 18. So I was a teenager, and obviously life wasn't treating me fair and everything was going against me and all these really insignificant things. Um, and then reading um, Memoirs of a Boy Soldier, it's someone who's from Sierra Leone, lost his family when he was 10, gets pulled into being a child soldier and force fed. Well, I think he's able to run from them for a long time on his own. Finally finds his family and like could see them from like down the hill. It's like, oh, they're there. They're a day's walk away. That's the town they would be in. Gets to
Hmm.
that town, and that night, everyone in that town was murdered. So he finds his family right after they all get killed. And then
Oh,
he becomes a child soldier where they force feed him drugs and they have competitions of who can cause someone to bleed to death the fastest and all of this while he's younger than 12. And it's like,
well then.
okay, my problems don't seem that important anymore. So that was quite eye
So,
opening. And
for
then
sure.
Kite Runner was the other one I remember reading. Besides that, I don't remember any of the other books from college. I didn't have
Hmm.
anyone giving us cool fantasy books to read. Um, I do remember a paper I had to write. It was we had to write a paper after we interviewed someone who had a job that we were interested in. So it didn't necessarily have to be a job that we were ever going to get, but just a job we thought was cool. Like one person 1 year somehow was able to interview a coach for the Chicago Bears. And it's like, well, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Hmm.
Well, I couldn't think of anyone who had a job I was interested in. So I interviewed Captain Dave Dyrick of United Airlines, except Dave Dyrick was my age. So he was definitely not a pilot yet. Ended up never becoming a pilot. Um, but we just made it, pretended he was, did the whole interview, um, wrote a paper about his job as a pilot. And this was like a 10-page paper.
Oh, wow.
And we turned it in, and we were turning it in sections. So,
Hmm.
like, we did the introduction, and he hands out all of the. We turn them all in. The next day, he hands them all back. And he's like, "A lot of you guys are really struggling with the introduction to this. Do you want to hear some examples of some good intros?" The class is like, "Yeah, that'd be helpful." He turns to me, "Patrick, can you read the first 5 chapters of yours?" And this was a school that we had something called an honor code that we had to put on every assignment. Um, I have neither given nor received, nor have I tolerated others' use of unauthorized aid. Not that I was cheating, but I definitely wasn't doing the assignment the right way. And I had to read that for my class as an example of one of the top papers.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that's fun.
Yeah.
And now we are way behind on some comments. Okay. Audio for Legend is fantastic. All right, gonna
I'll
write
keep
that
an eye
down.
out for that.
I read the first one and I got really confused halfway into it because you're following Sherlock and everything's going and you're just it's what you expect from the Sherlock Holmes series. And then all of a sudden I'm following someone in Utah and I have no idea how the two things were correlated. Um, they do somehow come back together at the very end, but it's basically halfway through the book you start reading a completely different story. Is that what
Yeah.
you remember?
Mm, no, not to my recollection, but like I just remember them being like pretty fun, like 45-minute little reads or an hour or so for like little short stories. They were just like fun, and I was like a big fan of the TV show Sherlock with Benedict Cucumber Patcher, whatever his name is. Um, And
Everything's going against me
yeah,
now, and I'm an adult. Yep.
everything's going against all of us adults for sure.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those nonfiction books that I would recommend to fantasy readers because it's so unbelievable. Um, Unfortunately, it's unbelievable in a horrible way. So maybe grim dark readers will like reading it. But yeah, there's a few other nonfiction books that's like these are great nonfiction for fantasy readers because you would never think anyone has ever been through something like that. Like the book Unbroken, I compare him to Kaladin. That just so much ends up going wrong in his life. Uh, he was on track to be an Olympic runner, and then World War II breaks out, and he becomes a pilot. And being a pilot at the beginning of World War II was not good for your life expectancy. Um, and his plane ends up getting shot down. And at that point, the planes had like 10 people. So it took 10 people to fly those types of planes. Um, they get shot down over the Pacific. He survives the crash, but now he's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Um, and it was him and two others, and they're in a raft. And they were in that raft for 60 days, is what I'm remembering. And they were catching food by just laying there and a bird landing on them and then catching it when it lands on them because the bird thought they were dead. Um, One of them does end up dying at that point. They have a flare gun with them or something, and they see a plane flying, so they shoot the flare gun off. And of course, it's a Japanese or a Japanese pilot who then flies over to them and starts shooting at them while they're in this plastic raft. Um, and they're being circled by sharks this whole time as well. So
Oh
they're
wow.
jumping into the ocean to dodge the bullets. And then when the plane circled back around, they jump back into the raft to avoid the sharks. And at this point, they haven't had a full meal in 30 days. Um, so they're not doing all that well. Eventually, the plane flies off, and the two of them make it to an island just to find out that was a Japanese controlled island. So then they get taken prisoners, and he mentions that there's a whole bunch of names scraped in the wall, and he asked the guard if anyone like what those names were, and they're like, "Oh, those are everyone who stayed here." And he's like, "Has any of them survived?" No, they all we killed all of them. Um, Somehow he gets transferred to another prisoner, prisoner of war camp, where they're actually hiding their prisoners from the Red Cross. So the Japanese prisoner of war camps were close, close-ish to what the Nazi concentration camps were like. And I think the reason he survived is because he had a friend in college who was Japanese, who was an officer and in charge of the other prisoner of war camp. So his friend brought him there just for the purpose of trying to use him as propaganda.
Oh.
So his son or his friend ends up just trying to take advantage of him the whole time. And somehow he eventually survives all of that, being tortured for years, and does make it back home. Uh, but yeah, to me, that's like Kaladin's story. Every time it
Yeah.
looks like there's going to
That's
be something hopeful, nope, we're going to make your life even worse.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely bonkers.
Let's see. Theo, did you get a lot of reading done on vacation? Such a trap, yeah. Yeah, I never get much reading done on my vacations either.
I do a bit every now and then.
Um, when I was reading Assassin's Apprentice, I did, but a lot of that was because that was in Hawaii, which obviously, because of the time change, I was waking up at like 2 a.m. So I'd go sit on our balcony, which was right outside the ocean, and read for the 3 or 4 hours it took before my wife actually woke up. So yeah, that was probably one of my best reading experiences was reading Assassin's Apprentice right next to the ocean. It's genre fiction. Sounds awesome. I was in an engineering program, so there was a lot of writing involved. Tried to interview a Power Ranger. That would have been quite quite the essay.
If I were to do an interview, I would interview um Jane Goodall and ask her what her favorite animal is. And just act absolutely floored if she says chimpanzee.
No way. Hi, Mike, if you're still here, thanks for stopping by. We enjoyed talking to you. Let's see.
Yes, thanks for dropping by. We look forward to reading your book in July.
Yep, Becoming a Druid. So if anyone else is watching, July, we're reading Becoming a Druid. Let's see. Cumberbatch. You can tell Jordan is married by the stuff on his wall.
For sure. If it was my house and I got to decide the decorations, I just have a nail on the wall to hang my mug on. That's it.
Yeah, I can see. Went around one day, installed a bunch of nails and picture hangers. Yeah, let's see. I think I actually have more pictures hanging up in my office than the rest of the house. Uh,
Mine is like photos of the family. It's just everywhere. Everywhere I
yeah,
go, they're staring at me. Like I'm staring at myself over there now.
right.
Oh my.
Um, our house in general doesn't have a lot of wall space. Like it's a pretty big house, but how it's designed, there's not a lot of good spots to put pictures.
Oh,
And
okay.
I get annoyed when the pictures are on the ground because they're in my way. But she doesn't want to hang them up anywhere unless it's the right spot for them. So I end up hanging up stuff in my office just so that it's off the floor and out of my way. So that's why I have
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have at least 12 or 13 things hanging up just in my office.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then more that are sitting on the bookshelves. Let's see.
Yeah, we got
IKEA and
like
Big Lots.
15 things in the living room alone.
Yeah. Let's see. For some reason, I can't imagine why that would be. My Chicago Bears decal that she got me when I was living in this house alone, which used to be downstairs, is now also in my office. Let's see, we are both geek nerds. Yeah, all of that would end up in my office if we had any in the house. Some in the garage. I did have to move some of my paintings or pictures to the garage, and all of my clocks. She couldn't stand the ticking sound, so I took all the clocks down. That's like 6 foot landscape.
If I would have a
That's sad.
massive 6 foot landscape picture, it would be of Jeff Goldblum where he's shirtless in Jurassic Park like this. Like it's actually like my background image on my keyboard on my phone. It's just like anything Jeff Goldblum is absolutely hilarious to me. There's like a page I follow. It's just like the same photo of Jeff Goldblum every day, and like every day, I can forget about it for weeks, and then all of a sudden I just see that same picture again, and it's just it's just Jeff Goldblum just doing this. I love it.
All right, Colin. An important question, Colin. Is it 6 feet or is it 6 feet 6 inches? If you know, Michael Jordan was 6 foot 6. Let's see.
Damn, he's only 4 inches taller than me. Maybe I should have done basketball.
That's yeah. You probably should have. Opportunity missed.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. The only sport I'm like good at is skiing and ultimate frisbee. Ultimate frisbee, I'm like a rabid dog. I just run straight into the bushes. I don't care.
right.
And I usually do it bare feet because you don't get enough grip with shoes.
Right. No. I was always good at pretty much every sport I played. But the only ones I played in an actual league or in high school or were soccer and tennis.
Mm. Soccer is one I definitely like. It's like the only like competitive sport I would enjoy watching.
Right.
And I'm a Canadian and I don't like hockey. What up with that?
See, I would have loved to have played hockey, um, but
It's
it just wasn't popular
so
enough.
damn
And
expensive.
yes, um, you need all the gear, and as you get bigger, you just need all that gear to be replaced. Um, and then again, growing up in the Chicagoland area in the '90s, the Blackhawks hadn't won anything in 40 years at that point, or something like that. So hockey was
Yeah.
not big in Chicago. Now it's a lot more popular because the Hawks were really good from 2010 to 2015. Um, but but yeah, that was my ankles would not work in skates at that point in my life. I had already screwed them up enough from playing soccer. Too many ankle sprains, and someone actually asked me recently if I still play soccer now that I moved to Colorado. I'm like, I sprained my ankle going for walks now. I don't think I can play soccer competitively anymore. One kick of the ball and my ankle would be done. The only place it would have worked would be where my bookshelves are. That is a difficult decision. Okay. My first house that I bought, I was doing a lot of remodeling. Like we my brother, he owns his own construction company. Him and I, and obviously his company, were remodeling the house, and we basically had to gut the inside of the house and rebuild it. And it was in a really forested area, so it was really dark the whole time. And I think it was his wife bought me a life size cardboard cutout of Jeff Gordon. It was a NASCAR racer. And I stood him up in the window so it looked like he was peeking out from behind some curtains. And there were so many times I scared myself with that because I would just catch it with the headlights when I was pulling into the driveway and think there's actually someone looking at me through my own window. So yeah, definitely know how that goes. Just Tony lurking in the corner. Yep. Sweet. I will. Let's see if I can actually look at that now.
I can't because I'm filming on my phone, so check it after.
Okay. So it's actually almost like full size wingspan. Everyone else is going to be really confused when they see that in the Discord. Life size sticker of Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, Steelers fan. One of those fortunate people that actually get to watch your team win sometimes. They haven't been able to do that much in the last 30 years. I'm stuck being a Chicago Bears fan.
I know
All
nothing
right,
about
see you,
football.
Robert. Thanks for stopping by.
See you, Robert.
Yeah, let's see. The Bears. A lot of Bears fans still talk about the glory days of 1985. That's what they're living off of when they had one of the best teams in history. And that's still the only claim to fame the Bears
Ah,
have.
yes, 38 years ago.
Yep. Before I was
Just move
born.
on
Before my older
already.
brother was born. Yep. But hey, they were dominating that year. They still get put on a list of top teams of all time, specifically top defenses ever. Steelers. Well, yeah, I'm a massive Bulls fan. All right. Oh yeah, Bulls are the the bell injury or the ball injury really screwed the Bear Bulls up. It's one of the things I kind of hate about basketball is how much one player matters. You only have five on the court, and your top five will play 90% of the game. So one player can have like a 20% impact on the game. And one of the Bulls' best players being injured for he had minor knee surgery. It was just like a clean up his knee. He was supposed to be back in like 6 weeks. That was 2 years ago now. And he's getting paid something like $25 million a year.
What'd they do? Botch the surgery or something?
He's had, I think, three or maybe even four of them now at this point.
Oh, wow.
And there's been a couple times of, oh, we know what's wrong now. We're gonna fix it. And then it's up. He still can't run. He feels pain every time he tries to run. Okay, we're going to do another surgery. And then 6 months later, well, he tried jumping today and his knee hurts, so something's still wrong. So who knows what happens? Born and raised in Pittsburgh. It's quite a few games in Pittsburgh. It's always a good time. Yeah. And then if Lonzo ever does come back, there's like no way he's going to be the same player. A professional athlete taking 2 years without being able to play their sport. There's too much rust to try and keep up with the game at that point. And
for sure.
you can go back to almost any sport. You go look at any athlete who's taken 2 years off, and except for Michael Jordan, but he literally took 2 years off to play a different professional sport, and is known as the greatest basketball player of all time for a reason. Alex and Colin, as long as Mitchell Trubisky stays off the field, you have a chance. If he becomes your starting quarterback at any point this season, you can pretty much consider your season done. Think of it as a gift from Chicago. So yeah, never played any sports. You never even had any desire or anything to.
Who, me? No.
Yeah,
No, not really. I just didn't like I just felt like a lot of like, well, hockey is like religion here in Canada, obviously. And I just found like a lot of people look up to these hockey players like they're, well, like they're
right.
heroes and stuff, but they act very immature in real life, obviously. Like if
Yeah,
something goes wrong, they just flip out. And
yeah,
it's just something that always irked me growing up. So, and that's kind of what turned me away from competitive sports. I like playing it, but I would never play competitively.
yeah.
It's just something
Honestly,
that like,
go ahead.
oh yeah, it's just something that's like never really appealed to me. And it's like same thing with like music. Like, I find if someone knows how they can play guitar, they'll try and bring the guitar to every party or grab it and play Wonderwall over and over.
Right.
It's small things like that. It's just like really irks me, and that's like also turned me away from music. It's like, oh my God, dude, I don't want to be like one of those people, like just playing Wonderwall over at a party.
Right. Yeah. For hockey, I really wish the NHL would outlaw fighting. Like, don't
Yeah,
make it a 5 minute penalty. Make it here's your 5 month suspension. And you know what?
yeah.
You did that, they would stop fighting. It
Hmm.
it wouldn't be needed anymore.
Well, I think they
Like
banned it for
get rid of
one
the
year. I think they banned it for one year, but the ratings went like super low, and obviously, like they're hemorrhaging money if they're not getting as much people watching. Um,
I wonder when
but
that was. Because
oh,
one
that
thing
was
with hockey um, is if you go back 20 years ago, it was hard to watch hockey on TV because you couldn't see the puck. The graphics just weren't good enough to really see what was going on in the game.
yeah,
But you don't have that same problem now.
yeah.
Um,
So I think it was within the past like 10, 15 years. Don't quote me on this because like my hockey knowledge is very very poor. But yeah, they did it for like one year and they like were hemorrhaging money. But like the main issue is like the equipment is getting more and more safer, quote unquote safer. So they're being more and more aggressive when it comes to um checking, I guess. I can't even
yeah,
remember what it's called.
checking. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see. It's not so much that I don't like the fighting. It's that I like watching the more skilled players, the fast paced, just the intricate play. And so much of the fighting is because one team is going to have an enforcer whose job isn't to be good at hockey. His job is just to hit the best player on the other team to try and get them off their game. And then once he does that, the enforcer from the other team has to go and fight the enforcer from the other. So it's two people that neither team really necessarily wants on their team. They're just there literally to protect their better players from the other person on their team that has on the opposite team that doesn't have as much hockey skill as the rest of them. I'd rather just see a team of 20 skilled hockey players with no enforcers go up against another team of 20 skilled hockey players with no enforcers. But that's me. I also watched a lot of Blackhawks games when they did not really have an enforcer on their team, so they had to they got checked a lot. There was one series where that was the big comments after the game because it was going into game 7, and all of these playoff games were going into overtime, double overtime, triple overtime. Um, so instead of a 60-minute game, they were playing almost a 120-minute game. And the defenseman from the one team is like, or someone from the other team is like, there's no way they can be taking these checks from us. They have to be slower at this point. We've literally been beating them up every day for the last week and a half. Um, it's like that's not what I want to watch. I want to watch skill versus skill. Um, but yeah, that's my opinion. Let's see. Also played some baseball, but was more of an avid swimmer. I never played baseball because it was the same time as soccer. So soccer season always won for me. And swimming is absolutely hard. It is not something I could do. Uh, my brother did it one year in high school because he used to be, because swimming was a winter sport since it was inside. He used to be a wrestler, but he dislocated his shoulder way too many times. So his senior year, he went to swimming, and he was by far the slowest swimmer on the team because he wasn't really a swimmer. And for senior day, all the seniors do like a lap around the pool. He came out for his lap with a whole bunch of floaties on. Let's see. Seattle finally got the Kraken ice hockey team. Uh, didn't they just win first round? They were in the playoffs. I feel like I heard something like they were the first team ever to win their first ever playoff series at home or something like that. Yeah, as much as I like sports. Huh. I feel like Quidditch was one of my favorite parts of the series. Yeah. Although you never got a full season.
No,
Mhm.
I don't really remember too much about the Quidditch, to be honest. I remember
And
I
for me,
always
it was
avoided
just,
Blitzball in Final Fantasy X, though. I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not playing that.
I think I played it a lot when I was playing Final Fantasy X. Did Seattle go past the second round? I stopped paying attention after the Rangers lost in the first round. And even then, I was only paying attention because my brother asked me to put $100 bet on them winning the cup. So I did, and then they lost in the first round, which meant trying to get him to pay me the $100 he owed me instead of just taking it out of his winnings. He invested time learning to play. I think I did too, but that was so long ago. I don't remember what the point of playing it was.
It's like you get one of the secret weapons for one of the main characters
Uh,
if you reach a certain level in Blitzball. Because like each
and
character in Final Fantasy X, they have their own side quest, and if you do that side quest, you'll get their specific side quest. You'll get their best weapon in that game, and one of them was Blitz. You had to go through Blitzball. Yeah, it's Waka's.
yeah, I have no idea if I ever got that far, but I did play a lot of Blitzball.
Yeah,
But that's just the competitive nature in me. I want to win every sport I'm in, even the virtual fake ones.
yeah.
First was dodging lightning strikes. Yeah.
It was brutal. Oh, excuse me. Um, it was brutal for sure. I hated playing it.
Didn't Final Fantasy X have like a sequel? Like,
Yeah, 10-2.
yeah,
It didn't
I
do too
remember that
hot
being
to my
horrible.
recollection.
Yeah, which is where to say there was a sequel besides just Final Fantasy 11. Um,
Yeah. Final Fantasy 11, I think that one was online. An online Final Fantasy to my recollection. Um,
I think I
9 is
played
my favorite by far. Music is
well.
awesome, the characters are awesome, the story is actually pretty good.
I think I played 7, 8, 10, and then 13. I think 13. Um, I feel like I started 14, but then just never continued to play it. Like I ran into like one obstacle or something and was like, "Yeah, I'm done." Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 12
I
was maybe it
played
was 12, 12 and 13.
mm, I played 4, 9, and 10. Those are the
10.
ones I played. And like a couple of the other like I played Final Fantasy 2, but I've never beaten it. I've only had a couple hours
Right.
clocked into it. It wasn't for me.
Well, seven's the most iconic
Yeah.
and probably the most confusing one. I still don't quite understand what was happening in seven.
Mm.
Um, 8 was probably actually the one I enjoyed the most.
That's one of my best friend's favorite is 8. Nine's mine because it like 7 was like, oh, let's do this steampunk type of story, and it did really, really well. And then 8, they were like, oh, let's kind of recreate it a little bit, and then they did, and the fan base was really divisive on it. Like they either loved it or hated it. And then 9 was let's go back to our classic fantasy roots, and Final Fantasy 9 was the best in my opinion. But I've,
Hmm,
like I said, I've only played 3 of them.
right. No, I did not play the remake of 7. Uh, and I haven't played. When did I? Yeah, I'm sure it was over 20 years ago when I last played Final Fantasy 7.
Isn't the
Final
remake of
Fantasy
7 just
8.
like part 1? I think it's like divided into 2 parts. Like they got a second part coming out later.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Final Fantasy 8, I tried replaying. Um, see, it was probably close to 10 years ago now, and I was really enjoying it. But it's one of those. I mean, with it being an older game, it was I think 4 discs to get through the game, and disc
Yeah.
3 was scratched.
Oh,
so I was permanently stuck.
yeah.
Um, so yeah,
I
that was
miss,
my attempt at replaying.
yeah. I kind of miss when you had those games that were like multiple discs. Like my favorite game of all time is Tales Symphonia. It was on GameCube, and there were two discs, and they were two different colored. One was blue, one was red. It's like, oh my God, it's just like the nostalgia of just like switching the discs
Yeah.
as you go further on.
There's also another series or another game. I think it was called like Chrono Trigger or
Yep.
Chrono. Yeah.
Chrono Chrono Trigger was on the SNES. Chrono Cross was on PlayStation, to my recollection.
Okay. That was probably Chrono Cross I was playing. That
Hmm.
very similar feel to the Final Fantasy games,
Yeah.
from what I remember.
Chrono Trigger is one of the best games of all time. It's so good.
Yeah. Basically, the games I liked playing as a kid, were all RPGs.
Yeah,
Um,
same. RPGs or Zelda.
the only Zelda games I played were for N64. Uh, and that was because my
Ocarina of
friend
Time.
had it. So Ocarina of Time, and there was another one. Um,
Majora's Mask.
yep, yeah.
Yeah,
So those
that
are the
one's
two
my
I played.
favorite. That one's my favorite. It's very not traditional Zelda, but the side quests are really good. And the reward you get is awesome.
Yeah, I even played. I think it was Super Mario RPG. And I find like a lot of people didn't even know there was an RPG Mario game.
Yep. And it did really well, and everyone wants it back.
Yep.
They either want it remastered or like a sequel, but nothing has come out since that was made on the SNES.
And see, when COVID shut everything down, my cousin was posting something about like, well, since I can't go out and do anything anymore, decided I'm going to go back and replay some games, and was posting stuff like that. So I looked
Hmm.
online for Super Mario RPG. I'm like, hey, I found a place I can play online. Well, this is what I'm going to do then.
Yeah,
Not sure if I finished it because, you know, eventually life started back up. Uh, but yeah, really enjoyed it. Earthbound was another one. Uh,
that's one I
and
haven't
then
played, but I
obviously
know a lot about it.
Pokemon,
Yeah.
the ultimate
Oh, that's
RPG.
yeah, that's my entire childhood right there.
I still have my Pokemon Red.
I could sell
Refuse to
for a hot.
start over because I'm trying to get every Pokemon up to level 100.
Oh yeah,
Skyrim.
Skyrim is a game I played like about an hour in, and then I just kind of stopped. But it was because I had like I had like a awesome laptop like for gaming, and then all of a sudden the hard drive fried out of the blue, to my recollection, and so I just never bothered really replacing it. I bought a Chromebook to finish my university degree, and that was the worst decision ever. I hate it. But yeah, I haven't played much of Skyrim.
Pokemon Snap. Um,
That's out on
so,
Switch. They remade
yes,
it.
I just played it on Switch, and well, by just, I mean, probably a year ago now. Um, it was one of the first games I went back and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play Pokemon Snap and beat that, and then I asked for the newest Pokemon game um, for Christmas. Like, if you want to get me something besides a book, I'm into Pokemon again. You can get me the newest game.
Yeah, they made a brand new Pokemon Snap for the Switch because I find Nintendo really caters to nostalgia.
Yes. Yeah. Which I think I was playing the Nintendo 64 version of it, um, which I did start playing the Nintendo 64 version of Zelda on the Switch as well. Um, After, of course, beating Mario 64. Had to go back and do that first.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I haven't played much of anything really in the last year.
Yeah, like for me, like I was saying earlier this stream, like I bought a couple of games that I knew I would love. Like I bought the remaster of Tales Symphonia, and the frame rate is horrible. They since patched it, but I gotta get back into it. And the new Fire Emblem game. But right now it's just Zelda, the Tears of the Kingdom that's taking my time right now. Um, and that's really slowing down my reading for this month, for sure. I don't even think I'll finish War Master's Gate by the end of the month because, like, all my free time, like, I need to go back to Zelda because it's literally ADHD the game. I walk 5 feet and there's like 10 new quests, and I'm like, I'll start, I'll start one and open up and start another five.
No. I think I might actually finish Shadows of the Apps this month. Might
Yeah.
be close, but I do want to go right into book 10 after I finish book 9.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Um,
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna
and I
go into
also,
Seal of the Worm right after this, but it just might take me a while.
yeah, I really
I
want to
think
get
my
to the audiobook for of War and Ruin, which comes out May 30th.
yeah,
So I'm going to be speed reading through or speed listening through the last two of these so I can get to War and Ruin as soon as
yeah.
possible.
My audiobook reading this month has been really good so far, though. I've been flying through everything I'm reading. I
Do you ever
mean,
listen while playing a game?
no, no, I can't keep that much. I wouldn't be able to absorb it at all. Yeah, I need to do like tasks like dishes or like house, like
Right,
mowing the lawn or just fixing something outside. But if I'm like thinking while playing Zelda and listening, I wouldn't be able to absorb anything. But I
right.
mean, like, I've been doing excellent this month so far with audiobooks. Like, Dead Stars Part 1 for the read along. I finished two Great Coats books and finished Mother of Learning, and like those two Great Coats books and Mother of Learning, they're all over 600 pages. So, and I think I'm like almost 20% into book two of Mother of Learning. So,
Nice.
yep,
I feel like I've finally gotten back into reading more of the longer, more complex fantasy novels.
yeah,
Something more complicated than the Drew Hayes books that I've been reading.
mm, yeah,
Because like I also enjoyed Academ's Fury, book 2 of Codex Alera. And it's like, oh, I haven't been in the mood for this type of fantasy novel for a while, and I'm really enjoying this. It's nice liking these again.
yeah, for sure.
Oh,
And I'm really liking Mother of Learning. It like the first one is definitely a like a fantasy, like an adult fantasy version of Harry Potter.
um,
It is really good. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm on the second book now, so it's
nice.
um yeah, it's really good.
I'll have to check that one out. But
Yeah, for sure. It's rate marked. It's only 4 books long to my knowledge. Hopefully it is because I want to complete it to have another series completed and then move on to the next one.
what was the name of the series again?
Mother of Learning.
Mother of
All the cover arts look almost identical, except like Valric, the main character, is just slightly getting like more, I don't know, pronounced in his magehood, I guess.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. All
I
right. Well,
I
let's go
oh
ahead.
sorry. Oh, I was gonna say, well, it's like this year is the only year I've really started getting into Wraithmark books. Like I've read 4 so far, and last year I only read 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many I've read. I'll have to look at some point. Wraithmark.
Yeah, that's available on Wraithmark, Chris. And they like Mother of Learning did 2 Kickstarters for book 1 and book 2, and they did really good on both Kickstarters. And Andrew just read the first book last month and posted a review. I think he gave it like 5 stars or something like that. He really loved it. And the narration is really good. But like I said earlier, Patrick is like the for the main character, he does a really good pace for him, but for all the other characters, he goes a little bit too fast. So if
Mm,
you're going at a high speed, you might not understand what they're saying. So I
you
just
might want
tone
to
down.
slow it
I'd
down a
slow
bit.
it down a little bit. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, it's what 1:30 a.m. your time.
it's 1:32. Yeah, I've been yawning this whole stream. I apologize.
We should probably call it a night or a morning in
Yeah,
your case.
yeah. It's a school day for my oldest. Daniel Green is going through Wraithmark now for his books.
Yeah, which is right after taking all of his books off of being Audible exclusive. His next book's going to be an Audible exclusive.
Yep, because it's now through
Yeah,
an
he doesn't
independent
have
publisher.
full say anymore. Yep, which
Well,
is
I mean, like
understandable.
for example, Demon's Reign with Bengali and David Estes. Like I'm a Patreon. I'm Ben's Patreon. Um, and usually with the new book, he'll give the book to everyone, like as a like for being a Patreon. And but he had to go through Wraithmark to see if he can get approved, if he could hand out just e-copies of Demon's Reign.
Right.
Because like I guess you just got your own things to work with through the
Yep.
publisher. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for sticking around and chatting
Yes.
with us.
Thanks, guys.
Probably something we're going to start doing, what, like once a month or something like that.
Hopefully, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, guess we'll see you all next time.
Stay hydrated.
Bye.
Bye.